Story time with Mama G. Come and hear a story with me. Love who you want and be who you are. Learn these lessons and we'll go far. It's story time. Story time. Story time with Mama G.
Hello everybody, it's Mama G here, and I can't believe it, but it's almost the end of the summer holidays. I know, it's unbelievable. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to join you and read you stories for the Summer Reading Challenge. I hope you have all had a marvelous time, and don't worry. If you think you're going to miss me, then my darlings, all you need to do is find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for @MamaGStories, where I will be telling more stories, being silly and being very, very glamorous. Now, for today's story time, I'm going to read you 2 stories from the Little Cockroach series of books, and also one of my own stories called You Better Floss. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Story Time with Mama G. Now, my first story is called The Little Cockroach. It's by Susie Violet and Alex Patrick, and it really is a lot of fun. Here we go. Oh, it's the wrong page. Be even more fun if I start on the right page, my darlings. Pedro, the little cockroach, was very bored one day as he looked across the sand dunes at sunny Angel Bay. "I'm tired of this place," Pedro said to his best friend. "There must be more than sun and sand to make this boredom end." He said, "I know, Enrico. We should go and have some fun." They packed some shoes and 2 canoes, and so the adventure began. They left the bay to find a way. The road was unfriendly and scary. Watching out for predators, they needed to be wary. Prowling in the shadows was a gecko's silhouette. Pedro and Enrico upped their pace. "We need to lose this threat." "Yippee! We lost it," Pedro said. They danced around with glee. Despite the close encounter, they had never felt so free. "Look, an airport!" Enrico cried, and they ran towards the lights. "Jump on this case," Pedro said, as they zoomed to catch a flight. Through the airport they whizzed. "Hang on, Enrico, hold tight." The roaches clasped with all their strength, with the cargo hold in sight. Arriba! Away they flew, high up into the sky. The little bugs were on their way, waving their home goodbye. They arrived in a new land of spaghetti and old buildings. "We made it, Pedro, we really did. Here's to new beginnings." "Where are we?" Enrico said. "I'm not sure," Pedro replied. "Grab a camera, find your map. Let's follow that tour guide. Let's go, or andiamo, as the locals say." They walked up a wonky tower, with Pedro leading the way. They scuttled on through the crowds. "Come over here," Pedro said. "Oh no, Enrico, watch out!" as ice cream plopped onto his head. Sweet, sticky and smooth, licking up the goo, the ice cream melted, with plenty for 2. They came across a kitchen, and disguised as pepperoni, they were picked up by the chef and plunked in a calzone. Inside a pizza oven they sat. Oh, it was tasty and yummy. This was the best place to be, and perfect for their tummies. Unaware of the outside world, the bugs tucked in with delight. A knife came tearing through. Their delight turned into fright. Screams echoed through the air with people in a panic. Pedro yelled, "We need to leave! This atmosphere's too manic!" After all the exploring, they decided to sleep. All their whizzing and whooshing had quite worn out their feet. They scurried into a grand hotel. "Get in here," Pedro said. The little bugs found a case to make the perfect bed. They talked about the gecko and flying in the sky. Their heads buzzing with all they'd done, they started to close their eyes. Pedro started snoring. Enrico snuggled in tight. Tomorrow would be another adventure. Until then, they said, night-night. The end. So that was The Little Cockroach by Susie Violet, and with illustrations by Alex Patrick. And now I think it is time for a Mama G classic, and I call this story You Better Floss. Now, this story does involve some pop culture references that probably only the adults are going to understand. So grown-ups, if you are watching and you recognize one of these pop culture references, then I want you to give a nice big scream and scare everyone that you're with. And then after this story time session is over, you can spend a good half an hour explaining the pop culture references and educating the children. You lucky, lucky people. But like I said, this story is called You Better Floss. Michael loved to dance. In fact, Michael liked to do all sorts of dances. Michael liked to do the robot. Can anybody here do the robot? That's right, it goes like this. Yes, very good. Michael liked to do the worm. Can anybody do the worm? Well, I can't demonstrate for you, unfortunately, because I'd definitely crack my chin, but I will show you with my arm. So imagine my arm is a person's body, and the air here is the floor. So the worm is like this. They go, whoosh. Yes, did you see? You got that? In fact, it looks very cool doing it like this, doesn't it? This is the safe worm, you see. And Michael also liked to do any of those funny dances off of TikTok. Does anybody know any TikTok dances? I don't really, but they're all a bit like, just like this, aren't they? I mean, that's it, really. But most of all, Michael liked to floss. Now, can anybody here floss? Well, it's very simple. All you need to do is you sort of put your arms down. I'll tell you what, I'll just stand up so I can show you. What you do is you just put your arms at the side like this, okay? And then you just swing your hips from side to side, and your hands sort of circle around your hips, going front and back. That's it. Lovely. And then you get really fast. Really, really, really fast. Lovely. Now you can floss, darlings. Now, Michael loved to floss, but a lot of people wished that he didn't, like his teacher. Michael was just about to get onto his desk to demonstrate the floss when his teacher, Miss Jackson, said, "You better not floss." And Michael stopped. "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson." And when Michael's mum, Eileen, told him that dinner was ready, he got so excited he couldn't do anything else but floss. "You better not floss." Michael stopped. "Oh, come on, Eileen." And when Michael was helping his dad put up some shelves, he used the power of his floss to bang some nails into the wall. "Michael, what have I told you? You have to play safe around this equipment, so you better not floss." Michael stopped. "Oh, Papa." Don't preach. All Michael heard all day, every day, was "you better not floss." But what nobody ever told him was why not. It was what he was good at. It was what made him happy, and it was what made him different to everybody else. Michael needed to find a way of showing the world that flossing was what made Michael, Michael. Well, you will never guess what happened next. So I will tell you. It was a cold winter's night. Michael and his best friend, Mariah, were on their way to the village green for 'twas bonfire night. Excited families were dashing past with sparklers and toffee apples. Loved-up couples strolled by, all wrapped up in scarves and hats. All around them, Michael and Mariah could hear the sounds of cheering and laughter and excitement. But when they got to the village green, well, all the cheering and laughter stopped. Where was the bonfire? Everyone was looking around, confused. They could see the pile of wood, and they could see people trying to set the pile of wood alight. But they couldn't see any fire. Michael looked at Mariah. Mariah looked at Michael. Eventually, the mayor got up to make an announcement. "It is with great regret that I have to inform you, bonfire night has been cancelled." Well, everybody sighed a disappointed sigh. "We just can't keep the fire going. We need to find something to fan the flames with." Well, everyone started searching through their pockets. A tissue? No. A marble? No. A receipt from the petrol station? Double no. Mariah looked at Michael. Go on. Michael looked at Mariah. What? Slowly, Michael put his hand up. "Excuse me. I think I might be able to do something to help." Everyone gasped. Everyone knew what Michael meant. Everyone looked at the mayor. Everyone looked at Michael. Everyone looked back at the mayor. Silence. Then, "Michael, I have one thing to say to you. You better floss." And Michael skipped over to the bonfire and flossed like he had never flossed before. And as his arms went from side to side, flames started to grow on the fire. And as his arms went faster and faster and faster, the flames grew higher and higher and higher. It was working. Eventually the mayor joined in, and then Mariah, and then Papa, and then Miss Jackson, and then Eileen, and then the whole village. The whole village was fanning the flames with their floss. And before they knew it, the village green was glowing with the biggest bonfire anyone had ever seen. Everyone was cheering again, but this time for Michael. Because of Michael, bonfire night had been saved. Michael went on to do great things. He started to teach flossing in schools. He started a new fitness phenomenon called Floss to 50. No one's sure if it works or not, but they give him money for it anyway. And he became the first Olympic athlete to win a gold medal for flossing. Michael was a national hero. All because he'd followed his heart. All because he'd stayed true to who he was. And all because he never let anyone tell him that who he was wrong. And you? Well, you better floss. Or even better, you better be you. The end. Oh, isn't that a lovely story? And I hope that Michael is flossing and flourishing somewhere right now. And I hope that whatever you are passionate about, I hope it becomes something that is celebrated by us for years to come. And I can't wait to find out just what amazing things you are all capable of. Well, I think it is time for my last story. Don't get too sad, darlings. Because of me, you might very well have had a very long summer holiday. This story is a sequel to The Little Cockroach, which I just read you. It is called A Right Royal Roach Trip, and it is also by Susie Violet and Alex Patrick. So get comfortable because we are about to go on quite the adventure. Pedro, the little cockroach, was feeling chirpy and chipper. He looked at all the bright lights through a haze that twinkled like glitter. "We are bold travellers," Pedro said, "on a mission to discover." Enrico turned to his best friend. Then they looked around in wonder. "Arriba!" Pedro whooped. "Let's go and explore." Pedro's pal Enrico yelled, "Look, a riverboat! Quick, let's jump on board." The roaches crept across the deck to where a creature sat. Pedro smiled, and the pear-shaped figure said, "Hiya, I'm Ruby the rat." "Hi, I'm Pedro. He's Enrico. We've just got off a flight." "I'll show you around," said Ruby Rat. "This city is dynamite." The boat whipped up the River Thames. Their excitement grew stronger. The London Eye and Tower Bridge were reflected in the water. They arrived at the Tower of London and stared with awe and surprise. Suddenly, a raven swooped in and took them up towards the skies. "Cracking vista," Enrico squealed, trying to use the lingo. They took in the views, truly amused, before being dropped through a stone window. Glistening behind the glass sat the priceless crown jewels. With over 140 gems to see, all the little bugs could say was, "Ooh." All of a sudden, a beefeater shouted, "Stop that robber!" As a man ran by, Pedro cried, "Follow my lead! Ruby, trip up the bad guy!" The bugs leapt up high with a funny little dance. They flapped their wings with fat big grins. He did not stand a chance. They buzzed around the bandit's head and landed on his nose. Ruby Rat ran between his legs. He fell flat on his back and then froze. "We've got him, thank you, nibblers," the beefeater blurted. "You really saved the day, and the bobbies have been alerted." To Buckingham Palace the heroes were escorted in the gold state coach drawn by 8 royal horses. The palace was full of joy. The Queen was delighted. "To award you with the highest thanks, you are all to be knighted." The 3 little chums stooped before the Queen and knelt for a tiny sword, a sight no one had ever seen. As they bowed, the big crowd roared, "Rise, Sir Pedro! Rise, Sir Enrico! And, of course, Dame Ruby! I speak on behalf of England, for you have done your duty." The Queen happily announced, "You must all stay for tea." "I royally do insist," said the Queen. "The cakes are just so yummy." The excitement was all too much. Ruby almost fainted. "It would be an honor," Pedro beamed. Enrico felt elated. Ruby peeled herself from the floor and scoffed at an incredible pace. The state banquet was full of treats, but their table manners were a disgrace. After tea they had to dash. So much to do and see. "I'll show you around on a London bus," Dame Ruby said. "Come with me." A final tour of this great city and a stroll through Hyde Park had been a roller coaster adventure, seeing nearly every single landmark. It was now time for the 3 amigos to finally say goodbye. Ruby dropped them off at the Ritz and left with a tear in her eye. The little bugs had earned a rest. What an amazing day! It was all beyond their wildest dreams, but it was time to hit the hay. Pedro nuzzled into a blanket. Enrico blocked out the light. Tomorrow would be another adventure, but for now they said, night-night. The end. Well, isn't that a wonderful book? And what an amazing adventure they go on. That was A Right Royal Roach Trip by Susie Violet with illustrations by Alex Patrick. Well, thank you so much for joining me for another story time with Mama G here for GLL Libraries. I hope that you've enjoyed my series of story times throughout the summer holiday, and I really hope that I will be able to get to see you all live and in person very, very soon. And don't forget, if you're missing me, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Mama G Stories. Now, before I go, I think it is time to end this session in my traditional manner with a little bout of If You're Happy and You Know It, because you know what I say. The thing that makes you happiest is the thing that makes you you. And what makes me happy is being a pantomime dame and getting to tell you all stories. So this song is all about how happy being a pantomime dame makes me. And you know what, my darlings? I reckon that by now you might be able to join in with the actions. Shall we give it a go? All right, here we go. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If you're tired of wearing hats, I can help you out with that. If you're tired of wearing hats, then wear a wig. Whoop, woo! If sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If sequins are your style, and they really make you smile. If sequins are your style, then shimmy and shake. Ooh! If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're good at telling jokes, better than the other folks. If you're good at telling jokes, then have a laugh. Ah, 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 ah. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. If you're feeling fabulous, just like the rest of us. If you're feeling fabulous, then shout, I am, I am. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope to see you all very soon. Bye.
It's story time with Mama G. Come and hear a story with me. Love who you want to be, who you are. Learn these lessons and we'll go far. It's story time. Story time. Story time.